All right, well, welcome to those of you signing in today to the bi-weekly update here from Gentian's Galactic headquarters in Mequon, Wisconsin. It's a beautiful fall day here. We love this time of year. It's my favorite time of year. It's time for reflection. One of the questions we've been asking quite a bit lately is, what are you building? So we're helping you build a successful retirement, but what else are you building? Today, we're going to shift gears too and talk a little about protecting what you've built. So today we have a shred event for a lot of you who are coming here to our headquarters, if you will. And there's electronics and also paper. We're going to talk a bit about both today as well. So we'll touch on some of the markets, but today's theme is really about protection. There's a lot of things we do to keep you protected when it comes to computer safety. You've seen some of those. We talk about those all the time. It's very impressive what Raymond James goes through and spends every year on more layers of protection to prevent the fraud that you see happening all over from ever touching your accounts here. So they are on the forefront of that. I want to make sure you know it. So I guess my go big is for all those who are behind the scenes doing things you don't know to keep you protected and safe in this environment, especially when it comes to your financial data and things you've worked so hard for, things you've had the faith to put away, the patience to stay with, and the discipline not to do anything silly. You know, we're all about faith, patience, and discipline here. So the discipline here is to get rid of your records so that others don't have them in paper. Many ways to do it. We'll talk more about those, but I just want to welcome you all here. And how about your go big, Ken?
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Great to be here with you all. My go big is for new experiences. My daughter is playing a new sport that is a little unfamiliar to our family called volleyball. So it was good to see some the Homestead seniors play last night, and they did a great job. We had it a little earlier, but for new experiences, new set of families to meet, just a new thing that we're learning about in the sport called volleyball.
Probably the greatest sport on earth, but you know, I'm not. Who's to say? Who's to say? Yeah. I was at the game as well. Ken did not say hi to me, just so you know. I was there since 5 o'clock, so I don't know what happened, but there's a lot of people there last night. It was fun to see the junior Highlanders. They're all cheering everybody on. How about Zach? Your go big.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Today, I'm just extra grateful for the Gentian team, the Gentian family, if you will, just because last Saturday, it was 6 years on the day that I was actually introduced to Gentian from a long-term client of Gentian and Chris's. So just extreme amount of gratitude how much my life has changed since 6 years ago and since that introduction that kind of came out of nowhere. So just appreciate everything with the team, with the other day going through lifeboat drills for not only for the end of this year yet, but also for next year, just all the planning and everything that we discuss.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. We had a great discussion yesterday and we're talking about next year. And I want to give you a little bit of a hint if you stay for the program at the end about what we're going to talk about next year, because it's a very important year and there's something you're going to want to know. So you might want to get those who haven't tuned in, maybe your friends, neighbors, the most important people you know, because I'm going to give you a secret at the end of this program to predict for next year. Yes, I'm going to make a prediction for next year. You know, I hate predictions, but I'm going to do it just for you. Mike, how about yourself? You go big.
Oh man, Chris, I'm extremely grateful to learn a secret after this program, if I stick around long enough to hear what this prediction could be for next year. I'm really grateful for the little things. I shared this with Angie this morning, and just those little nuggets, Easter eggs, if you will, and not the colored eggs coming around springtime. Those that you're able to find like a little treasure in just everyday stuff that makes you nostalgic, remember something else. But most recently, I learned that on Google, if you Google the word cat, just C-A-T, you'll come up with this search. And in the corner, there's this little icon. And if you push this little icon, all of a sudden, if it'll work for me, well, I'm not facing my phone, so it's not happy about that. But when you push that little icon, a little cat paw will come and touch anywhere on the screen that you do. So it's these little things that just bring a smile to your face. Google cat, push that icon, and enjoy the rest of the day. So thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, that's the end of the show for you, folks. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking, but that's awesome. That's awesome. How about yourself, Ashley? You go big.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chris. I am grateful for the season of fall. Fall is here and Gentian is in full swing. So we get to see so many of our clients this week. So I'm just looking forward to number one, today's shred event. Friday, we have the Best Damn Blues Festival, which is happening in Thiensville. So I just look forward to seeing and experiencing all those events with everyone.
Outstanding. And Julie, how about yourself?
Thank you, Chris. I am grateful and feeling very blessed to have a growing family. Our youngest son and his wife had their first baby last week, Wednesday. So she is 1 week old today. Everybody is doing well and healthy. And so I'm grateful for that and excited for their parenthood journey that's ahead of them. So
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful growing family. So building your family is something that you're doing as well. And actually, it's not you having to build it now. It's your kids. So it's even fun, more fun. At any rate, thank you very much. So today really is about protection. It's about protecting the things most dear to you. And that may be people, but in this case here, maybe documents prevent somebody getting a hold of money or vital information that you have. Now, today, it may seem difficult in this ubiquitous environment with all of your data always flying somewhere, and you have to have some trust and faith in things, but we'll give you a few pointers today on things that you can do to prevent somebody from easily getting a hold and ascertaining your information. That is, the 473,000 passwords that you have should not all be the same. And they shouldn't all be your middle name or your dog's name or your kid's name, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of that. I'm just saying what should happen. So if anybody wants to try to log into my passwords, mine are not those. However, I just wanted to say, in case anybody's listening that shouldn't be, I wanted to bring that up. But today, very, very importantly, I want to throw it over to Mike's Minute. Mike, why don't you in a minute give us what we should be paying attention to, brother?
Thanks, Chris. And I do want to share that Raymond James has wonderful security around our Zoom calls. So there isn't any individual intruders who are going to take your passwords and try to insert your family members' names and trying to figure that out. So in any rate, something that I wanted to bring up is that student loans have now started to accrue interest, specifically federal student loans, repayments starting for most in October. And from a macroeconomic standpoint, though, what does that mean? So what does that mean for the individual investor now that all of these individuals who have these student loans, 17% of the population have student loan debt. And so with that, that's going to be less spending that can be discretionary, which is the spending that you can go out and buy things that you want on a regular basis. So how could that affect the economy? Well, there's two different narratives, as there always is. And there's those who think that this could be one of the catalysts that puts us into more of a recessionary mode. And regardless, we know that a recession is going to come sooner or later. So what does that even matter? It's just something that someone thinks could accelerate it. Now, the argument against that, though, is that it could be very marginal. We talk about those who have student debt. The payments that they're going to be making on it won't change necessarily how they live their lifestyle. And the main drivers of the economy are those who are not, aren't in those instances, in those situations. A lot of those who carry student debt, millennials and this and that, there's other spending throughout the course of what they do, and their income or their savings isn't going to be something that's going to propel the economy as much as those who don't have it already. So the demographics that just have it is just a little bit different on how the money's actually spent. So that overall effect of student loans repayment is actually going to be felt a lot more on the personal level for those who have to make the payments, who haven't made them before, those who have recently graduated college. That's who should be most worried about this and being able to figure out the repayment strategies while still trying to supplement their savings for things later in life like retirement. So we have a wonderful resource available to you all. It's called GradFin. We'd be happy to do an introduction if you have a grandchild or a child or know anybody who is going to be starting to repay student loans, even if they know that they have a good grasp on it. This is a free service. It's a consulting service, and they can go ahead and just take a look at what you have and be able to show, if there's any options available. So thanks, Chris.
Yeah, we have a wonderful resource available. His name is Mike Mann, just so you know. Another one too, what's interesting here, and I find it funny because you'll find a lot of your grandkids probably didn't go to school and get the proper education, because many of them don't understand that when you borrow money, you have to pay it back. Whoa, what? In America? You borrow, you have to pay it back? That's preposterous. So interesting. You find people borrowing money for school, really up in arms about not paying the money back. I don't know. Those of you maybe my age or over, Generation X, didn't you learn that when you borrow it, you have to pay it back? Anyway, I won't jump too much on that soapbox, but it's hilarious to look at this and going, it's a lot more money, it's this and that, but it is part of life, you know. So it is one of those things that they gave us a pause on, but I thought it was pretty funny. Somebody brought that up to me the other day. I'm going, that's a good point. I guess I always thought when I borrowed it, I'd pay it back, but I wasn't that adamant about it. And I definitely understand their debt is way more than mine. I think my college tuition was $1,500 a semester. Unlike today, I paid it as I went by working. So that was different. I think I made $3 an hour, and that was a lot. At any rate, back to that. Thanks, Mike. So why don't I bring it over before I go to Zach's facts? Why don't we bring it to Ashley's argument? That doesn't even make sense. I'm not going to say it. I'm still coming up with one, Ashley. I don't have it all yet, but I'm trying to figure it out by subject. So today, Ashley's asset protection. How about that?
I like that one, Chris. Thank you. And staying in today's theme, just because we have an event around properly disposing of your documents, I wanted to bring up a few of the scams that our team, as well as other clients, have brought up to us that have come to the surface. So no one is out of this process, I guess I should say. Scam tactics are everywhere. So Amazon recently sent out an email to all of its prescribers that scams are targeting around Prime memberships, and you'll probably get a text, or you maybe even have seen an email, a text, something like that come across your phone saying your account is suspended, possibly your items are not going to ship that you have recently ordered. Just a heads up, it's a scam. Go to your account, and if your packages are still arriving, obviously there is no issue with your account with Amazon. Amazon will never ask you to provide payment information if you do get a call. They will never ask you to verify your account information personally, again, or passwords, as well as credit card information. So don't get sucked in by those text messages or those simple phone calls, or even replying to an email that has come across to your inbox. A few other ideas to simply keep yourself safe is to trust only Amazon owned sites. So always check that HTTP. It should always say Amazon.com. If it says anything else, do not use that site. Be wary of false urgencies. Again, Amazon is never going to call you and say, I need your payment information. We need to verify your account. Please provide your password and we can get you in. They're never, ever going to do that. So just be careful for that. And never pay over the phone. Again, Amazon does not accept payment over the phone. They are going to always encourage you to go to your account online to provide that payment information. And again, just verifying it's an Amazon.com or whatever site you are on when you're going to pay. That's what you want to see. And just look at every letter, because that's where it can get a little bit gray area. If they alter just one letter, it looks really close. Just don't get sucked into that website. Another thing that I just wanted to show everyone, you may or may not have seen it, but we've recently put a blog post out on our website, and that has the 10 most common scams and how to avoid them. Those include lottery scams, grandchildren scams, charity scams, computer scams, timeshare scams, homeowner scams, medical scams, foreclosure scams, as well as caregiver, sweetheart scams, and title company scams as well. So I can give you a quick briefing into this if you'd like to take a peek. Again, if you go to gentianfinancial.com, cover over the blog post, and this will be one of the top ones that comes out recently that, again, was just released. And take a peek and read through these scams, because they are Raymond James's top 10 scams that they have recently seen. And again, no one is out of it being a victim. So just take a peek, educate yourself, and we look forward to seeing those that are going to join us today to shred their documents, as well as get rid of some of e-waste. And back to you, Chris.
All right, thank you. Just a minute, hold on. Amazon, yeah. Please cancel that payment I just made online. Could you please? I just phoned you and somebody called me to make a payment. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Ashley, that was a really, really good one. I totally appreciate that. I wanted to share one thing here. So why I was a little bit late today is when I started to log into my computer, some person stole my copy of Microsoft Office. I will find you. You have my word. Yeah, for those of you who aren't Microsoft Office junkies, I'll let you know what that means, but I wanted to make sure you understood that as well. Mike's got this look of disdain, which means that was a good one. I appreciate that. So what I'd like to do now is we've got Zach's Facts, Ken's Corner, and Julie to go through in about 12 minutes. So I'll keep my portion a little bit shorter today. Maybe I'll just do stand-up comedy. So I'll tell jokes standing up here. I think that's stand-up comedy. But I want to pass it first over to Zach's Facts. What's going on, Zach?
Thank you, Chris. I was waiting for the comedy portion.
That's not going to happen. Sorry.
But we'll round to the nearest whole number and go through kind of year to date like we always do. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up about 4% on the year, and every index that we're about to go through is about 1% off of when we shared them 2 weeks ago. The S&P 500 is 16% positive on the year, still a phenomenal calendar returning year, but we're still 7% off of our January 2022 highs. So still room for growth there as well. The NASDAQ, which is 50% weighted towards technology, is about 31% positive on the year. International is about 5%. Emerging markets is 2% positive. The Russell 2000 is right around 5%, with growth being up 9% and value of the small size companies up 1%. So just interesting to still see the disparity between growth and value. That's why we own both and continue to rebalance off of those every single year. On the fixed income side, very little unchanged from 2 weeks ago. The 1 year treasury is 5.3%. The 5 year is 4.2%. The 10 year is 4.18%. One really interesting thing that we saw from MFS by the numbers this last year is that the 10-year treasury index is down 37% since July of 2020, which is a big surprise for people thinking that bonds is the safety net that smooths things out, which is historically correct. But when interest rates rise so quickly, not necessarily the case. So is why we really worked hard during 2020, 2021 to be careful of our bond duration and bond maturity inside of our portfolio. So just very interesting to see that a 10-year treasury down 37%, that's equity type potential downside. So with that, Chris, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. I appreciate that as well. You know, Zach and I do a lot of running outside. Well, if you combine the two of us, we do a lot of running outside anyway. But it's kind of interesting. When I get home, I've got a little bit of fall allergies, and it's kind of interesting. I came home just the other day, and I said I had a bit of a runny nose, and my daughters think that my hay fever or my runny nose is a little bit funny. I said, no, it's not. At any rate, you can use that for your little kid jokes because they love things about snot and other things as well. So I thought it was funny. I didn't deliver it well. I can work on the delivery, but at any rate, I thought that was a good one as well. So Ken, why don't we bring up a few of the ideas for Ken's Corner on things we need to look at for planning? Quite honestly, there's 1,000 things going on, 1,000 things we could cover, but what should we be focusing on right now?
Yeah, there is 1,000 things we can cover in the planning side of things, but in this theme of protection today, I have a couple of them. And the protection would be property and casualty insurance. It's something that you get from someone else, you get from an insurance agent that you work with, most likely. But when you look at your auto insurance, there's items on there like bodily injury, uninsured bodily injury, underinsured bodily injury. These are things that when you look at protecting your wealth, make sure that you have the proper amount of coverages in there. Sometimes we get the basics, the minimums offered to us. There are ways to go up if you want to protect more of that unfortunate thing that could happen in an accident or something like that. It probably wouldn't even be your fault, probably in the accident, but it can lead to things that, even though it may not be your fault, it can lead to massive, massive money outpouring on your behalf if someone is underinsured or even uninsured here. So as well. So talk to your insurance agent about that, about protecting that and protecting your wealth there. Also your home. Make sure it has the fair market value adjustment to it with the rise in prices recently in the home area. Also, the umbrella policy. It's also called the personal protection liability policy as well. It's called the PUP. Make sure, an insurance agent once told us that, you know, having an umbrella policy that matches your net worth is usually a good idea. So take a look at that piece to see if you have an extra layer of liability and protection, if you will, for your overall wealth that you've accumulated so far. The other one I want to talk about, it's a tender topic, but it's a very important topic to navigate properly. And we're here to help you out. We've been able to help some clients that have went through the unfortunate situation of needing care. So if you have a spouse or a friend or a relative or a neighbor that is in the need of care, like physical medical care, what you're seeing there is, you know, medical expenses typically rise if they're qualified for this. And so when we need to use our money, which buckets of money are we using for and to pay for this care? So, you know, we can use cash, we can use our personal investments, we can use our IRAs. You know, those are really the three main buckets. Or if you have an insurance policy, you know, that's also another bucket we can use. But when medical expenses go up, we want to start to identify and start using, most likely, according to what your accountant would say to this, is to start to use the IRAs more, because as medical expenses rise, we can get some more money out of the IRAs in a very tax efficient way, if you will, rather than using other assets. So not only do you get to use the money that you've saved for care if you need it because of medical expenses, so you're being tax efficient for you and your care, but we're also thinking about tomorrow if there's any unused money there. IRAs are very expensive to inherit for somebody. Other assets, not so much. So again, we're thinking about care for today and expenses and taxes for today, but we're also thinking about taxes for tomorrow as well. So if this is someone that you know, if it's happening to you, we would probably most likely know about it. But if you know somebody that's happening to and we don't know them, these are just little nuggets that we can help people out with to protect your money from paying unnecessary taxes. With that being said, Chris, pass it back over to you. I think you're muted, Chris.
I was speaking in parentheses. Actually, what's interesting is Ken gave me this beautiful pen. It's a really, really cool one he gave to me. It's actually a Gentian pen, and it writes underwater. It writes other words too. But thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. As we go forward here, Julie, I want to talk about a couple of things before we even get to Julie and look at what's most important to pay attention to here. And then I'm going to reveal the big secret that goes on. So one thing I think to mention is Apple came out with its iPhone 15. I think it debuts. You can do orders on 9/22, but they announced it yesterday. And on our team, Mike Birschbach brought this information to me. It uses AI in a lot of its functions. It's got a much better camera, slightly longer battery life. So there actually is probably an upgrade on this if you haven't seen the camera, worth looking at. It uses the first phone to use artificial intelligence in its basic operating system as well. So for me, there might be some reasons to take a look at upgrading. They believe this will be one of the first devices that are going to take advantage of the boom in AI. Now, most artificial intelligence is behind the scenes. It's going to be helping companies operate better for some of the rote tasks that didn't really need human capabilities, and it's going to allow humans to operate more in their human capacity. So I think there's going to be a wonderful revolution. I'm going to call it the human revolution. AI is, of course, there's a lot of scary things, but there's also a lot of scary things about humans. So I think as you look forward to this, the human revolution is probably the most important one coming that will directly affect your experience, how we perceive the world, how we experience the world together, how we are to each other. So that might be the biggest revolution that's coming. And hopefully that's one of the pieces that we're going to see. There's a bunch more things going on as well. We're looking at interest rates. There's a lot of questions. In some of our meetings lately, we've had some people really, really excited about the idea of having three buckets of money, one that's pre-tax, post-tax, and after tax, if you will. And these three buckets can allow people to use their income in retirement in a very efficient way. When we talk about family wealth distribution planning, a lot of people out there leave their money in IRAs for their entire life. They just sock it away. That's all they've been doing in a traditional IRA. And then they get to 72 now, which is required minimum distribution age, when they're required to take money out by the government, and they have massive distributions. It puts them automatically in the 40% tax bracket. Well, had we had a strategy between, say, 62 when they retired or 65 when they retired and 72 of doing some conversions, we may have been able to pay brackets that were in the 20s versus the 40s. This is called family wealth distribution planning. That's tax bracket planning for some of the IRA distributions. These are big strategies people aren't hearing about. We will talk about some of the simple things we do for you. And here's what's happening with the people walking in that you're introducing us. They're saying, my advisor has never talked about that. So I want to say that's coming out more and more. I want to share that with you. It's something you're going to find as normal. It's something we do all the time. And looking at the plan behind the scenes, we're going to present you with what you need to know. But if you ever want to go deeper in some of that, just let us know. Hey, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. We'll tell you what's been going on with your portfolio too, but we don't want to bombard you because each meeting would be about 6 hours and you'd fall asleep after an hour and a half. I know Mike could probably go 8 hours, but he's got plenty of data for all of us as well. So no, it's wonderful. But just I wanted to give you some of that. That's what a lot of people have been talking about. There's other things as well, but this family wealth distribution planning and how efficiently we can use distribution for minimizing tax, saving potentially 7 figures for some families over time makes a big, big difference. And nobody talks about it. It's not investment based. It's strategy based. I'll say that again. It's not investment based. It's strategy based. So at any rate, I wanted to bring that up. So Julie, why don't you bring us up to what we need to know here on most important things at Gentian over the coming weeks?
Will do, Chris. We have a few events coming up to wrap up September. As mentioned before, a little bit later this morning, we will have our 2nd annual Shred event and the 3rd annual Eat Outside Day. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody that's registered. And again, as mentioned, besides the shredding of the documents, you can also bring your electronics. So you can refer to the weekly bulletin. It will have a list of all the items that they will accept for proper disposal. Then on Friday, September 15th, it is our Gentian Social and Best Damn Blues Fest, which is going to be held at Thiensville Village Park. The gates open at 4 o'clock, so you can still register for that. We'd love for you to join us and spend the evening together listening to some good music. Our September birthday club is September 19th. That starts at noon, so we're really looking forward to celebrating with our clients that have birthdays in September. September 20th, our office will be closed as we learn to serve you better. As we focus on getting better for you, sorry. We'll return calls and emails after that session wraps up. This should be every day, but September 21st is World Gratitude Day. So please take a few minutes to share some gratitude with family, friends, or even strangers. September 23rd, autumn begins. It's one of my favorite seasons. So looking forward to the change of seasons. Our next bi-weekly update is September 27th at 9 o'clock. And then right after that at 10 o'clock, we are going to have a virtual workshop. The topic is retirement living options. We would love for you to join us, bring lots of questions. We want to know what you want to know. So that will help us prepare for future sessions on that topic. And then just kind of looking ahead, our fall forums are right around the corner. The Appleton Forum, Tuesday, October 24th at 11, and our Milwaukee Forum, Wednesday, October 25th at 10 a.m. So a few things coming up here to wrap up the month. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody. So I'll toss it back to you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. If you couldn't see me earlier, I was actually dreaming. That's why it looked like I was probably in a different space. I just wanted to tell you that. I know I've gotten some feedback about you couldn't see me. That was on purpose. No, it wasn't. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Julie. There's a ton going on. Could you just repeat that? I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. I'm joking with you, Julie. That's awesome. So the big reveal, right? All right, you guys all ready? Might want to stand up if you're sitting down. Might be prepared. Put your coffee down because this is going to absolutely floor you. Do you guys want to know what's going to happen next year? An election. Oh, yep. It's going to happen next year. I guarantee. Well, I can't guarantee it because the hanging chat issue had it going to the next year. So there's going to be a process of voting coming up this next year. Many of you look forward to it. You love the calls, the polling, the mail being full. You love the arguments, the discussions. You love all the time spent in it because I know your next year is really going to be spent in that. Well, let me kind of refer to it this way. I wrote a little something on it, which I think will be very helpful. Preparing for next year's investments is like shopping for holiday gifts in January. Let it sink in. It's uncomfortably early, but secretly genius. No matter who's elected, remember, don't let your ballot influence your balance sheet. So for us, looking ahead to next year, the preparation we've been doing already is we know people get very excited about if it's this or this. If you look historically at it, and Warren Buffett will also attest to this, letting your plan or investments be influenced by your politics can be very, very bad. I've got 3 or 4 examples I can share with you, and I can give you their names and exact numbers if you'd like, and you can call them. I'm joking, I would never do that. But if it happens to you, you could be one of those people, and maybe that'd be the 4th. Anyway, in a 30-year career, 3 isn't bad as we go through. But I really wanted to bring that up. Even looking at next year, we're starting to prepare this year. A lot of banter goes back and forth. Things get very exacerbated. Election. Remember, if you look at elections historically, post-election, no matter who wins, is typically a pretty decent time because everybody's just happy that it's over. 50% of America, remember, on almost every election is unhappy with the result. That's just how it is. Most elections are divided by about 1% or so. So looking into 2024, which is hard to say, by the way, I wanted to reveal that incredible thing. Remember, preparing for next year's investments is like shopping for holiday gifts in January. We want to prepare you that early for it. So tell all your friends, be prepared. Next year, somebody's going to win an election. It might not be the person you want. Don't change your investments. All right, with that, I'll wrap up today. I know I was trying to be funny because I hadn't been on the program a couple of times. I had a bunch of jokes saved up. So thank you for bearing with me and also my in and out of view sometimes as well. But from our galactic headquarters here in Mequon, Wisconsin, I want to thank you for helping you let us plan, live, and give in retirement for you. We look forward to seeing those of you who are here today, wherever you are. Enjoy your day unless you're in Phoenix, where it's 110 for the 56th consecutive day. Then stay inside and stay cool. With that, very, very good to see you. I look forward to seeing you in the next 2 weeks. And any questions you need, please feel free to reach out for us. We're always here for you.